So I found something pretty interesting about chapter 1126, and I wanted to share it with you all because two of these things appear in the same chapter. So at the end of the chapter, and spoilers for Egghead and ELBAF potentially, but at the end of the chapter, we see Nami in Albathian garb, and she seems to be inside of a Lego Playhouse set, potentially a Lego Playhouse set owned by a giant. At least that's my thinking. So what people have been noticing is that there's this weird placard on the wall of the playset with an avian head on it. It may be a hawk, it may be an eagle. The bird doesn't really matter. Not really. What's interesting is that we see the Blackbeard pirates in this same chapter. Notably, we see Burgess in this chapter. Now, why do I bring up Burgess? Because no matter what Burgess is wearing, no matter what his design is, whether he's in Dressrosa or otherwise, he has a belt. Said belt in every iteration of him across every piece of media that concerns One Piece has a bird on it. Said bird's head looks like the same head that's on this placard. It changes a bit depending on how he's depicted, but overall they roughly have the same design. So that makes me think, is Burgess related to ELBAF in some way? I think he's too small to potentially be a Buccaneer if Buccaneers have anything to do with giants, because Kuma is 22 feet tall, he's 11 feet shorter at 11 foot 8. So he may not be a Buccaneer, but he may have some relation to ELBAF. What's weird about him is that despite this belt being so consistent across all of his designs, he doesn't really seem to acknowledge that as a representation of himself, because what we see at the latter half of Dressrosa is that he does own a shirt that weirdly looks like the Impel Down uniform, except it has vertical stripes instead of horizontal stripes. But on said shirt, he has a little symbol that looks like his mask. So I'm going to go out on a limb and just say that's his Jolly Roger, his personal Jolly Roger. So that's weird in itself. But yeah, getting back to the belt, it's kind of weird how consistent the belt is, and we don't know what the bird on the belt means. So potentially, maybe either he is from ELBAF or knows someone who is from ELBAF who is dear to him, and they pass the belt on to him. This could play into his whole champion wrestling motif that he seems to have. And it's also interesting that after his fight with Saba and he becomes a cyborg, that the cybernetic part that is replaced on his face becomes gold like the belt. So that in itself is interesting. So he doesn't care about it, yet now he has a gold half of his face that's obviously referencing the belt. What's also interesting about this is that the side of his head that's now cybernetic kind of looks like Dory's helmet, though I could be reaching with that, but it does remind me a little bit of Dory's helmet. Whether that's intentional or not, we have to wait and see, but I thought that was very interesting, especially seeing as how he does have a big part in an arc where a giant appears who also has a very similar helmet in Haruden. So we'll have to wait and see, but that's quite interesting. With that being said, give me your thoughts and tell your friends about Polypede Wilson.